How you guys doing?
Great.
Good.
Scott?
There was a pace here last year. There's another pace still here. He's now called the star position.
Correct.
Is that appropriate? It seems like a kid on the move.
Deshaun is doing an awesome job. That star position fits him perfectly, and hopefully that bleeds into him becoming a star, which I think he will if he keeps his head on straight, studying the game and playing the right way. But he's been phenomenal at that spot. We moved him around certain spots as well, but he's going to be a key part of what we're trying to get accomplished here defensively. Number one, being a Cincinnati kid, doing it in his hometown, and hopefully have an outstanding year, and I think he will.
Fall camp starts tomorrow. What have been your early expectations on Camp High Ground, and what have you heard about this unique situation that this program has?
Yeah, it's a little different. I haven't been a part of a program to where you actually go to an off-campus site. So I've been preparing my mind and talking to some of my colleagues as coaching in the NFL that they've traveled, to certain spots and kind of feel, get their feel for it and how they've done things in the past. But I'm kind of, in that mindset, it's kind of like a bowl site, right, for me. And so I'm excited, to hear about, and to be a part of this this high ground, activity, which is I think it's going to be great. Of course, Coach Kears told me a lot of different stories about it, and so I'm excited to get out there and be it's just football, right? It's just us and the guys, and to see how that goes, which I think is going to be really, really good for us.
Marshall, then Chad.
How does this defensive line group compare to what you saw on tape, and now that you've gotten to know them a little bit?
They live up to the hype. They really have, and I think one of the biggest things is just from a leadership standpoint. Those guys have done a tremendous job, not only this summer but this spring, of leading by example, but also leading vocally. And I think with a lot of those guys that are big, if they're using that size to their advantage, you better listen to me, right? Some of those young guys, but no, they've done a tremendous job on the field and off the field, and I'm excited to see those guys, have success this season. But they're going to lead us, they're going to lead us to the promised land.
When you're working with a group that has played together, has national recognition, what's the biggest thing you can do as the new person to come and coach them heading into a season in the Big 12?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to be able to trust me and trust our staff that we know what we're doing, and we're going to put those guys in situations to be successful, not only for themselves but us as a team as well. And I think that's really the biggest thing is trust, and to allow those guys to make some decisions on their own as well, to be able to play the game. But I think the biggest thing is for them to trust me, and I think I'll be able to help those guys, play the game the right way, understand situations. We're going to put them in a lot of different situations to where when they are in the game and they get those certain type of situations, it just becomes second nature to them. And I think that's what we'll do this fall camp.
Taj Ward is a kid that's a grown man now, excuse me,
Yeah.
He's been here for a long time. That's kind of been a jack of all trades. I don't think people, when they see his name, realize how much football he's played here.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a role do you see for him and being able to use his experience, being able to do a bunch of different things?
Todd is like a quarterback for us, on the defensive side. He's going to get a lot of the guys lined up in the back end. He's going to make a lot of the checks. And with him playing a lot of football, that has helped, right? And so I'm excited to be able to move him around to different spots. We're going to start him out at the strong safety spot right now. He's a natural born leader. He's a quiet kid, but he's going to do everything you ask him to do. And with him playing a lot of football, that strong safety spot, to be able to demand people to get in the right spots and things of that nature, that fits him perfectly. And so I'm excited for him as well this fall camp.
Keegan.
Jack Dingle is a guy that has kind of flown under the radar when comparison to the star-studded defense you have. What kind of skill set does he bring, and what should fans kind of expect from him this season?
Man, we had those guys were catapults, to measure their speed and their player load and all those type things. Jack had one of the highest speeds from a linebacker standpoint that I've had since I've been coaching, and he can run. That's one thing he can do. He can run. He likes contact. He's getting a lot more comfortable from a leadership standpoint because that's what we want our Mike linebacker to be. You need to be the alpha male. You need to be that guy that demands the attention, but also demands the respect from your teammates and things of that nature, and on that defensive side. And he's been phenomenal. I mean, he's been awesome. He's been great to see grow from January, until today. He's gotten so much better from a knowledge standpoint, but also from a physical standpoint as well. Coach Nico and his staff done a great job with all the guys, but especially Jack. From a mental standpoint, being a little bit more tougher mentally. And so I'm excited to see him, go in this fall camp better than what he was in the spring.
Ryan, then Justin.
Malik Van, Dante Corleone, Juwan Burks, they've all mentioned the freedom that you allow them on that defensive line. How do you think that helps with what you need from the second level?
Well, I think it helps a lot because you have, those guys. You got Dante and Briggs who were, all conference players in the AAC last year, and, Dante being an All-American. But you have, Eric Phillips, you have Malik Van, you have Justin Watley, you have D. Shep, you have all those guys that have played a lot of ball. And, that helps me as a play caller to, put some things on them that, hey, this is what we want, won't you make this check, on certain sets. And that allows those guys to play fast, to have a little bit more ownership, but also, it allows, like you said, at second level to free those guys up, so they can just run and play ball. And I think it's very, very critical for us to be able to win the trenches, each and every game, so that second level can get after it as well, whether it's pressures, whether it's fitting the run game, whatever it may be. But we just have to do a really good job up front in the trenches and having old heads like those guys. That's going to help us and allow us to do so.
Now that you've had a spring and a summer with this group, how well do you feel like this defense as a whole fits the style you want to play? And are there any adjustments you've had to make for the personnel on this roster?
Well, I think one thing it has allowed me to do, is basically keep, a lot of the same as things that we did this past season. But it also allowed me to do some things that we weren't able to do with the group I had last year as well. So, it gives me a lot more flexibility, I think, to be able to, do certain things that, opposing teams haven't seen us do yet. And so it's very exciting to be able to work with this group. They take, whatever we're, giving them, they take it and they run with it. And that's one thing I really like. This defense, this city's built on defense, and I think they take it to heart. And so I'm excited to, to see these guys flourish with my first fall camp with them.
Dan, then Scott.
Your defense at Louisville led the nation in sacks last year, and they came from all over the place. Has that always been your approach, or has that evolved based on how much teams throw in college football and what you think works best?
Well, I think it has evolved from the time I've started working with Coach Satt, back in 2012 and 13. The game has changed, and I think you have to be able to evolve with the times of the game, but you also have to evolve week to week, what teams are doing. And, whether it's bringing pressure, whether it's dropping in coverage, you have to evolve. But I've always been an attacking, style type guy myself, and that's what we want to keep doing, being a attacking style defense, very aggressive. But playing smart as well and understanding, situations. And I think that's one thing we're going to put these guys in situations that they haven't seen in the fall camp. That's going to allow them to play fast in the games, whether it's third and short a lot, whether it's, a 2-minute scenario. We do things what we call sudden change, to where we may be in the individual period or special team period and the horn may blow, and now it's a situation. It may be 4th and 5. Now let's go play ball. And let's see what happens. So we're going to put them in a lot of different situations, but I think my aggressive style, our staff's aggressive style, is what we want to do, and that's one of Coach Sack's core values: always attack. And that's our mindset.
Corleone, Briggs, Phillips, Van, all local guys. Are people forgetting about this young man from Utah State, Daniel Graziak, who looks like he gets after it pretty well?
DG is what you want as a player, not just just a player, but also a person. Great human being, great teammate, very, very coachable, and wants to be great. And he acts like a pro each and every day. I was at one of the Bengals practice the other day, and I turned around and I heard somebody call my name. It was him, at the practice. So he wants to be a pro. He acts like a pro, and I'm excited to have him on our roster. He had 8.5 sacks last year at Utah State. He was right there with, our guy that led us last year at Louisville. That was one of the leaders in ACC in sacks. So it's great to have that guy in that position. He's done a tremendous job and will continue to do a tremendous job this fall camp of leading, by vocally, but also, by actions as well. So we're excited to have him on our squad.
How much have you been able to lean on Kerry and Walt as you're adjusting the roster and to Cincinnati as a whole? And what kind of asset have those two been?
They've been awesome. I mean, you think about, a guy that's, bled red and black and white, since he played here in Walt, to a guy we call the mayor of Cincinnati, which is Kerry. Those two guys have been phenomenal for us. And I've been able to lean on them heavily on the roster, knowing, especially once we got here, as well as now, even, with some of the guys that, coming in or still here, the things that I may not have known, when I got here in January, February, that I know now about some of the guys that are here. But they are very, very vital to what we're doing as a program, not just defensively, but as a program because, like I said, Kerry's been here forever in Cincinnati, and then Walt has played and understand the Cincinnati culture. So that's been great. I enjoy working with those guys, and great that they're on the staff.
How much do you drink more coffee now than you used to, or?
No, I'm not following Kerry's footsteps in that, but that joker, he drinks some coffee now. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's every little break I give him, he's going to get some more coffee, But I mean, he's healthy, so it must work. So that's one thing my grandmama says. She drinks black coffee herself, and she's 95 years old, so still ticking. So I think I made a fall in the footsteps. Maybe I need to start getting a little bit more coffee too.
Was Greshik at that Bengals practice on his own, just among the spectators, and was he with any teammates?
He was he came out on his own, and I think when I turned around, I think I saw Corey end up showing up a little bit later on as well, Corey Kiner. But those guys, they're football junkies, man. They want to go watch some of the best, practice, at the highest level, and so it was great to see those guys there.
I think they went to see Dan.
Say that again.
They went to see Dan.
They may have. Want to check and see if he was in the crowd.
Any other questions for Coach Brown? Thank you, Coach.
Hey, appreciate you guys.
Coach.